Hi, Jenni here, and I think I'm gonna try to do monthly what I read videos for this year. So let's just get into it. Here's what I read in February 2026. The first book I read was Hayati Rakkaani by Amani Almensen, and this translates to Hayati, my beloved. And this tells the story of Amal, who was born in Iraq in 1962, but we're not sure about the birth year. And she's a very intuitive, curious young child who wants to learn and get educated. But then, as her life goes on, during her studies in university, she meets someone who very quickly becomes the love of her life, but then the war gets in the way and she ends up on this journey that she did not think she would take on. And this is loosely based on the life of the author's mother, Amani Almensen, who was the first ever awarded Refugee Woman of the Year in Finland in 1998. I absolutely love this book. It, of course, discusses really heavy things, but it's so full of heart and light, even though there is this darkness to it. I love the character of Amal. She was so wonderful to follow, and she challenged in her mind all of the different societal expectations that are set on her just because she's a girl. And I love that even through hardships, even through immense loss and becoming a refugee and leaving her home country behind, she never lost her curious mind. She always stayed very ready to provide others and just do the best that she can. And obviously broke my heart, but also healed it at the same time. I was really impressed by this, and I really love reading these types of Finnish books that are based in reality but have historical fiction and contemporary fiction, and this has been really popular in Finland as well, which I'm really happy about. And yes, I absolutely love this one. The next book I read was I, Medusa by Ayana Gray. And this is another Greek retelling. I read a few of them, but in this retelling, Medusa is a young black woman nicknamed Medi, and she's chosen to possibly become one of Aphrodite's priestesses. She has to take these different tests, and if she gets through them, she will become one of them. I love that Medusa was a young black girl. I feel like it reflects the ancient Greece of the time, which was very multicultural and multiracial. And oftentimes Medusa is represented as a monster. So this kind of humanized her. And this provided a really lovely retelling and reinterpretation to the mythology of Medusa. I was expecting this to be adult fiction, but the main character is 17 years old. I wish she had been a bit older, but it's fine. And at times I was like, Medi, please, no. She felt a bit naive at times, but again, I feel like that's expected for a 17-year-old character. Anyways, I really did enjoy this book. Next up is the first classic that I read this year is Three Summers by Margarita Liveraki, and it was translated by Karen Van Dyck. This was originally released in Greece in 1946, and it follows three sisters. The oldest one is Maria, she's 20 years old. The next up is Infanta, who is 18, and then Katerina, who is 16. And most of the story is told from Katerina's perspective. And it, like the title suggests, it depicts 3 summers over the course of 3 years of the sisters' lives and them growing into womanhood, them discussing love and sexuality and their own sisterhood. I really, really liked it. It took me a while to get through this. At times it felt a bit like a lull reading this, But I also love that I could absolutely feel the Greek summers, the warmth of the sun while reading this book. And it had a really beautiful depiction of the nature and landscape around them. Of course, very interesting discussions of the topics I mentioned before. And I love that it was from Katerina's perspective, because Katerina was a very headstrong character and I absolutely loved reading from her perspective, but also simultaneously at times the narration changed from Katerina to like third omniscient narration, and it happened very subtly. It was really, really interesting. And I can see why this is a huge classic in Greece. I liked it. Then, after 3 summers, I felt no interest in reading. I don't know what happened. I love to read, but I was not in a slump, but in a like reluctant feeling of reading. So I decided to start my Tove Jansson reading challenge. So I read Muumit ja suuri tuhotulva, which is in English Moomins and the Great Flood. It was originally written in Swedish, but this was translated by Jaakko Anhava into Finnish. And this is the first Moomin book. It's kind of like the origin story. And I will talk more about my specific Tove Jansson challenge video about this book. But what I will say is that I really loved it. It kind of got me out of that slight slump I was feeling about reading. Tove Jansson uses such beautiful descriptive language. And I learned a lot about the origin of Moomins from this one, because there were so many things that I hadn't known about because I hadn't read this book before, which is kind of very odd to me. Also, it has beautiful illustrations by Tove Jansson. And yes, I will speak more about this in my first Tove Jansson challenge video. Okay, that was a quick recap of the books I read. I will try to keep my 1 book a week tempo with reading, but at the same time I don't want to rush myself. I don't want to speed read through these books. I hope you enjoyed this little video. See you in the next one. Bye!